I think it's time to stop shaming people for wanting to take part in trends and rather maybe have like more constructive discussion on whether do you really like, don't you have something, can't we just look in your closet to see if there's not something that already looks like it, or we can actually tweak it or modify to make it look like this trend. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome if you're new. Welcome back if you're revenant. Please consider subscribing if you like everything and anything about secondhand fashion, chaotic styling, and yapping. And for today's video, I want to talk about trends, but more so about the fact that the way we do approach trends is a problem, but not trend themselves, because I feel like that, especially in the sustainable, ethical fashion world, when we talk about trend, we tend to see it like in a very bad light. And the thing is, on its own, a trend is not a problem, because trend have existed for the longest time. It's the way we approach those trends and the way that it got co-opted, or it gets co-opted by the system in order to be like a very profitable entity for brands to make bunch of money. And it's like also the pace at which the trends are now um, turning, which is also a problem. But the reason why the pace is turning the way it is because there's a clientele for this kind of trend and there's money to be made. I first want to start talking about, you know, like the fact that trends are not a new phenomenon, and trend have existed for the longest time. That's something that I touch upon on my trendy versus timeless video, when I say that basically a trend, what like differentiate something that is trendy and something that is what we call timeless, is more like a trend is like an item, something that gains momentum for a short period of time, and then it can become timeless later on. Because like the moment that everyone is kind of aware of this item, it then suddenly becomes, kind of more of a common thing, to see more people wearing it. And so trend have existed, like it just the way like trends are now produced, and the amount of trends that we see. Like for example, when I think about the jeans, when jeans became a thing, it was such a massive trend. It was huge, like it was super 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 huge, because it was a new material, it was like a new item that was actually getting into the fashion world. So it became super super huge. It was unisex as well, which was kind of, back at the time where jeans became a thing, it was like never seen before to have like something that is unisex, that is of this material, that is a quite resistant and long lasting material. It really kind of, it was very innovative. That's what I want to say, is that fashion used to be super super innovative. Today I don't think that fashion is innovative at all. I don't think that there's really space to new innovation, like so to say. I feel like that the innovation that we talk about is mostly just, like things that already exist that we tweak, but it's not an innovation on its own. Maybe the innovation that we can talk about is the fact that they are trying to create new materials that are more sustainable to replace, like already existing material which rely on like limited resources that we have. So like it's then trying to find new ways to kind of create like new materials. I know that, for example, they're using pineapple to make some sort of leather. It's, all those kind of things. So in general, like, trends have been a thing for the longest time, and it's something that is going to exist all the time because it's present in every corner of the society. In every industry, there is a trend. There are trends in general, because it's just that there's always going to be something that is, either like an innovation or kind of a modification of something that already exists, and that is going to gain momentum, that is to have, like, people having interest on it. That's completely normal, and that's literally the human nature. We love when we get to see new things, when we get to come up with, new things that might be either helpful or stylish or whatever. I feel like that in general within the fashion industry, trends, something that is clearly inevitable, to the point that, I talked about how, like, in the fashion world, there's actually communities, and something that is trending in my community might not be trending in someone else's community. There's so many trends happening at the same time that so many of them, we are not aware of them. There's so many things that we don't really know about because they're not trending in our realm, which is completely normal because, like, every community has its own, like, interest. And the whole thing, I feel like that it's also important to note, is the fact that trends, like the pace at which we see trends, or we talk about trends, or we hear about trends, has also significantly changed over decades, and it all kind of stems from the rise of fast fashion, where fast fashion became a thing, while fast fashion basically exploded and made trends more accessible as well. Before kind of talking about, like, fast fashion and its rise within our society, I think it's important to also talk about like, how the system and the fashion world was working before fast fashion became a thing, because fast fashion actually rose in prominence in the late 90s, like early 2000, I would say. But before that, it's not like if it kind of came and suddenly, no, it took some time to really, really pick up. And it's something that kind of came in the 70s, because the 70s, we saw a new, like, economical system. A lot of industries kind of figured out that, they might be able to still use a little bit of this colonialism and delocate some of their work overseas, so it can actually produce more for less. And the moment, like, this kind of delocation of industries became a thing, that's how mass production also became a thing. And so, like, fast fashion, like, kind of started in the 70s. It is believed that the founder of Zara, the brand, who is now one of the, like, in the top 10 of the richest people in the world, actually is the one who actually ignited fast fashion, because he kind of realized at some point that by um, you know copying fashion from really, really luxurious brand but making it accessible to the masses was actually working. Before that, it's important to know that fashion was, the way fashion was consumed up until then was like a really, really different pace to the ones that we see today, because a lot of fashion industries and companies were locals. You had quality, you had longevity of the items, and because of that, usually people only like bought what they needed, and they kind of bought new clothes very like rarely. Like it was when they really needed it that they would buy new clothes, but because the clothes that they would actually have, they would invest in them. It was like, okay, it cost more, but it was not that they were actually shopping every week or every 2 weeks. They were literally shopping every few months when they needed it. So like, trends were existing because, some things would be like more popular than others, obviously, within the masses. But it was not to the point that, there would be like super recurrent. Like there would be new trends every week. It was like every so often something would become trendy, and people would pick it up, and it would become a trend for a bit. Usually it would last like a few years, and then they would move on. So when fast fashion boomed in the 2000, I would more likely say the 2000, because I feel like that it really was at the time where those kind of like fast fashion brands really established themselves. They were actually very much known for being able to, produce the replicas of luxury brands for cheaper to the masses. And so, like, anyone could now have this feeling of owning, for example, a Chanel tweed assemble. It was really this kind of thing where, like, now the masses could actually have this feeling to be part of the upper class, to be part of, this kind of very elite and exclusive group of people who can actually afford luxury items. You could have this really feeling of being part of this clique without, ruining yourself. And the thing is, because we are human beings and we enjoy and we like being part of a community, like having this feeling that you're part of the like creme de la creme of the social class is something that a lot of us have dreamed about. As human beings, we have always been drawn in having financial security. So, when you see like upper class people with this generational wealth and all that jazz, well, everyone wants to be part of it, because then they can afford really nice things. They can, they don't need to worry too much whether they can make ends meet and all that jazz. So fast fashion kind of gave people this idea that, like for a fraction of the price, you can have the illusion of having the same lifestyles as those elite people. You can be like, feel like that. Especially like the 90s and 2000 were also very big on like celebrities and all that. It was also giving this feeling that, yeah, like you can actually, like make this exact outfit that your fave is wearing, but for a fraction of the price, and feel like that you are your fave, that you are living the same lifestyle and all that. So that's the reason why fast fashion actually boomed so well, is because they actually managed to give this illusion and give this kind of feeling and sell this, kind of idea that now you can dress, feel like that you're wearing some very luxurious brand for like a fraction of the price, and then have this feeling that you get to be living the best life ever. I was talking in my last video about how wearing secondhand for the longest time was seen as something like, why are you wearing secondhand when you cannot afford, you know, fast fashion brands? And it's because exactly that idea, that because fast fashion brands could actually offer you brand new clothes for cheap that looks like a luxury brand, you know. That's also why I always find it kind of funny when I see some people trying to diss some celebrities, being like, oh, so and so has a very Zara style, and I'm just like, no, like, because like Zara does copy styles from, you know, luxury brands, you know, and because of that, so those people, they are wearing the original brands that Zara copied, you know, not the other way around. Um, and because of that, and because of the delocation of the workforce, and then they could actually produce massively, you know, and for a very cheap price, and kind of then, you know, sell it to the global north. Because of that, then they kind of saw that there was actually a potential to really make good money within it. So fast fashion started paying attention to trends. And the thing is, they're starting not only paying attention to trends, but they also kind of created these kind of frenzies around trends, because suddenly they would pay a lot of attention to celebrities, you know, and pay attention to what those celebrities were wearing. And then suddenly they would be like, oh, we can actually mass produce this item and sell it, because there is going to be people that are going to be willing to buy it, because they want to be dressing the same way as this celebrity. And because of that, then, you know, trends starting, like the trend start cycle starting kind of, you know, rising and rising and becoming like more of a thing. And that's why I feel like that it's really important to understand that fast fashion brands, what they look for is for what's popular, what's trendy. They don't really care about really like making original clothing. That's not their goal, because their goal is just to sell and to make as much profit as they can, and to like provide this idea that you, by wearing their clothing, you get to be feeling like such and such celebrity, or have such and such lifestyle, you know. It's always interesting to see that they do have in-house designer, yet they mostly like draw their inspiration in like items that already exist within the luxury fashion brands, and also small designers. Like, how many times have we seen small designers being completely ripped off by fast fashion brands, and now ultra fast fashion brands? But we're going to talk about that later. You know, celebrity, they do hold a lot of influence. Celebrities have actually been influencers. It's just that for like the longest time before social media was a thing, it's they it, they were just like not influencing this directly to the people, but it was, you know, in other ways. But celebrities are actually influencers. They're just like big influencers. And I feel like that it's something that we see more and more now, when you see like the way some celebrities also utilize social media and utilize their influence, and like the kind of the blurred line between influencers and celebrity, and how they also mix together and all that jazz. So, you know, celebrities are influencers. We can agree on that. So yeah, so fast fashion brands starting, you know, paying a lot of attention to that, and they were very much turning to pop culture, and, you know, producing items that you would see some of those celebrities wearing, and producing a cheaper version of it, and like, you know, selling it en masse. And that's how basically like trend cycles started. I don't know, can I, yeah, I can talk about trend cycles. Now I would not say maybe trend cycle, but I would say like the trend pace starting increasing, where we're starting seeing more and more, because fast fashion starting kind of creating those type of trends. And by saying creating those type of trends is that fast fashion was starting to kind of um creating a demand that was not actually being demanded. It was just like, oh, like, okay, this celebrity has been seen on the red carpet, or paparazzi doing that, wearing that, so we're going to like produce that, because I'm pretty sure that people would like to get it. And since people cannot get like the original brand because it's a designer brand, well, we can give them an alternative. I feel like that, yes, that's the term. I think fast fashion was seen as this alternative to luxury fashion, and because of that, it kind of created a sort of loophole for the fast fashion industry to kind of starting really producing more and more, and creating trends, and kind of trend envy, if we can call it like that, creating trend envy for the people, um just because all they wanted to do was to sell, and they were presenting themselves as this alternative to getting those celebrity and very elite people's clothing. In the 2010s, social media came about. You know, social media came about. At first, social media was, this idea of a social platform where you could connect with people, share, like your daily life. It was just like a very kind of innocent thing that you could do. Like, I remember when Instagram came about, like it was all about, the way they were selling it was like, it was all about sharing your daily life, and you can use filters, and it just kind of enjoying the moment, but snapping the moment and sharing it with people, and being like a visual diary for the people, the friends, or even some strangers. And we all know that social media literally changed the whole kind of um like so many industries. I feel like the media industry, the fashion industry, like it brought up like new job positions, like you can be a community manager, you can be an influencer. Social media has clearly changed the game, especially within the fashion industry, because that's where the first influencers actually really blew up. That's where, you know, I would say the first influencer blew up in a way more so like, at first those influencers, a lot of them were bloggers, they had blogs, and then social media came about, and then they could actually, share more of their daily life and share more of their passion and love for fashion directly with their followers. Social media really came about and kind of smashed that kind of, distance, and made it as if, it was friends. It was like you were giving a bit more of an insight of your own life. Like, it comes with its perks and its also disadvantage, of course, but social media clearly changed the game. So many like fashion brands also hopped onto social media because, there was this kind of closeness that you could create with your audience, which is like, if anything, community is everything. Like, that's how you grow, that's how you like get successful. You never get successful on your own. You always get successful because people are believing in you, because people are investing in you. Like, it's a whole community work in order for someone to be successful. And because of, community, and then influencers becoming a thing, trends became way more kind of visible, I feel like, because uh before, when it was, the magazines in of like about pop culture, the fast fashion brand were actually basing themselves on, uh it was also still very niche. It was still gaining a lot, but it was still very niche. It was like they had like a target audience, which was like majority young girls that they were targeting. But social media kind of like widened that target and kind of made things be more visible for even people that weren't really interested in fashion, because like you would just see it was there, and it was like this kind of open book, and so you would just like easily see it there. And because of that, it again changed the whole trajectory of how like we consume trends, because then we're starting to see it more and more. And the thing is, I feel like that people need to understand, and that's also why influencers are so kind of important when carrying with trends, is because the more you see something, the more you want it, especially something that you don't have and you don't own. And the whole influencer like follower relationship is also very parasocial. So if you follow someone that you admire, that you actually die for their style and stuff like that, you're going to be more inclined to also follow what they're wearing, and try to get what they're wearing, because again, you're trying to like emulate, like someone, a lifestyle. And it's all about emulation, all about imitating and hoping that by, owning this item of clothing, dressing that way, would actually get you closer to live a lifestyle that you are admiring, So it has always been all about that. And so that's also like the reason why, social media, like with influencers, became very big, because then suddenly everyone was using it, like social media was everywhere, and it became so kind of huge that fashion industry is starting to see that there was clearly something to look at within the social media realm, because like a lot of those, like again, followers of some influencers, or like big accounts, or accounts with a lot of followers, were very much influenced by those people. So like whatever those people would be wearing, suddenly like you could actually then create something similar, so those people would actually get around it. And then what those brands could do was to then use those influencers to promote like the item. By collaborating with influencers, they kind of pushed their whole kind of, like the new items and all that jazz. And then like I'm talking mostly about like Instagram, because with Instagram, like then brands starting to kind of increase their trend turnaround. Like for example, when you think about the fact that some fast fashion brands do, like H&M, do have a new collection every 2 weeks. That's just insane. Every 2 weeks, there's actually a new collection with new items that are based on new trends. But the thing is, like, the rise of social media kind of brought the rise of, like a demand that was actually getting bigger. And, you know, like the fashion industry became over so slightly more profitable, and it actually saw the rise of what we now call ultra fast fashion brands. And honey, ultra fast fashion brands are literally the it's insane. Like they worse than fast fashion brands. Like by ultra fast fashion brand, we talking about Shein, Pretty Little Thing, Boohoo, all those brands that only solely online. From time to time, they're gonna have like a pop-up, but they all sell online. And the kind of brand where they're selling so many item of clothing like at the cheapest price, the cheapest quality ever made, and clearly ripping off designers, like clearly seeing what is on trend, because everything that comes out is what is on trend. It's actually kind of insane when you look at like how ultra fast fashion brand work, because it's like, when I tell you that, you know, like Shein, brands like that have new items, like about 5,000 new items uploaded each day on their website. I'm not even kidding. The thing is, the reason why those brands are so successful is because, you know, the demand is there. Like, influencers and social media have made trends and fashion so kind of accessible to everyone that, you know, everyone wants to emulate that feeling of being an influencer, wearing the latest new things, new item, you know, so they can like show it off on social media. And, you know, there's a reason why hauls are also so popular, especially like hauls from those fast fashion, ultra fast fashion brands are so popular, because, you know, like a lot of people like to watch them, a lot of people like to like wish to have also all those clothes, so they can also, you know, have this feeling of being this very kind of, you know, well off person, or this influencer, this celebrity, or whatnot. So there's a whole kind of reason why like those fashion, ultra fast fashion and fast fashion brand and social media kind of pushed to this rise of trends becoming kind of more and more prominent, and having like, you know, a new turnaround that is actually so unethical that it's actually insane for me. When I think about, like, first of all, just think about like every 2 weeks a new collection, meaning that the old collection is being thrown away and is being burned, or it's been thrown to landfills in the global south, and like creating all the issues that is creating, because, you know, a lot of those cheap clothes are made with really cheap materials and chemicals that are very bad for someone's health. And it's just like, it's just insane, like, and then to think that 5,000 new item every week, excuse me, now it just, for me, it's mind boggling to think about that, and to think about how insane it is. But again, it is because of like a whole system of how we are pushed to overconsume. I talk about it in my last video about how like overconsumption is clearly something that is pushing people to buy things that they don't really need, because like they just want it, because, you know, there's this feeling to own things, just to be able to say that you own it, just to kind of, I feel like we need to kind of remember that a lot of the things that we see within the fashion industry, and fashion has been like that for a very long time, has been into showing like your social class, like how well off you are, what you can afford, and all that. It has always been about the image that you can, you know, give to people of who you are, you know. So like the first thing people are gonna see is like how you dress, and that's also why I do consider it being like an extension to your personality, because that's literally the first thing that you do see from people. Social media has actually brought in so much like trends, to the point that we even talk about micro trends, guys. Micro trends are literally trends that are like the name states, micro means that they are lasting a very, very like short time, like shorter than like a regular trend. And micro trend is a term that kind of came about with the rise of TikTok, where you started to see like a lot of new trends popping up here and there every time, and then suddenly that trend would completely disappear. And I'm going to reiterate the fact that trend on their own are not a problem. It's the way we approach those trends that are a problem. I think if more people were willing to accept that some trends, are not for them and they can enjoy them from afar, it would already kind of help a lot. Because I feel like that, because we are human beings and belonging is something that is very important. We hate being left out, you know we hate feeling like we are left behind. And so because of that, we're going to hop onto those kind of trends, because you want to be part of this community. There's a reason why the most successful fashion influencers are the ones that hop like from trend to trend. you know it's because at least you kind of are part of a movement as it is going. It's gonna last like a short time, but at least you hopping onto the new trend and kind of boosting the whole thing. And belonging is actually so freaking like necessary for our species. Like, we literally need belong. Without belonging, we're just not surviving. That's also why it is actually pushing more and more people into consuming and into overconsumption. And that's also why I was talking about how secondhand fashion, like thrifting and all that jazz, we're also being part of it, because you can easily find trends in those secondhand fashion shops, for the sole reason that trends comes and go. It's a cycle. They get very popular for a moment, then they disappear. They're still there, but then they gain in prominence again later on. Trends are not something new, like I said in the beginning. It's just the way we consume them, and the fact that this overconsumerism system that we live in is so like enshrined in us, especially our generation who grew up with social media and with fast fashion and stuff like that, and being told all the time about how going shopping is so cool, and all that, going to shopping spree and stuff like that. When you grew up with that, it's always so hard to kind of uproot yourself out of it. It's a whole process. And that's also why I like to think about fashion critically, because it's a whole kind of trying to deconstruct the whole thing and trying to find like new alternative ways to enjoy an industry that I am at odds with. I feel like that I say it like all the time, but that is true. I am at odds with fashion. So that's why I do strongly believe that it's the way we have to consume trends that is important, because trends today are not consumed the same way as it was even like 10 years ago. It literally has completely changed because of the landscape of social media, because of the accessibility that we get, the fact that we get to share so easily and stuff like that. And because social media have now become a marketplace. There's a lot of trends that I do enjoy, but I just know that for me, it's not gonna work, for the only reason that I might just be wearing it just a few times and that's it. And I am in this whole kind of like thinking of, when I buy a piece of clothing, it has to be long lasting and I have to be able to be wearing it for the longest time. So if I know that it's not for me, I'm just gonna enjoy it on other people. And I think it's really kind of also questioning yourself if do you really need this item, or do you want this item? Is there not a possibility for you, or don't you already own something that is kind of similar and you can actually tweak it? That is why styling is actually so important, because you can actually tweak your items so much. So yeah, it's really like all about questioning all those things and kind of trying to find a way to kind of understand trends are here to stay. As long as there are human being on this planet, there's going to be trends. Like, trends are here to stay. There's still going to be trends for years to come, and it's just like the way we need to approach them. Like, I feel like that, it's very depends on a person to a person, like the way you perceive trends and the way you perceive and you approach your journey within fashion. So like, it's not like I'm here kind of giving you a lot of solutions on how to approach it. It's my solution for me is just that now I have come to a point where I do admit and accept that some trends I'd rather just like enjoy them from afar, and than like buying it just to buy it. Sometimes I can find like other ways to kind of, also, if I really want to be part of a trend and I really like something, let me be creative with the clothes that I have, to partake in that trend, and also to make that trend my own and be original, rather than kind of copying everyone and being like everyone. That's the whole goal of styling as well, is to kind of make it your own. Like, if you want to partake in a trend, like, make it your own for it to work for your style and for your personality and for like just you. So it's really like the fact that I have now admitted and accepted that some of those trends I'd rather just enjoy them from afar, and like, I don't need to hop onto every trend at all, because like, if it's not like my cup of tea, that's completely fine as well. I'm still a human being. I still also like belonging, especially as someone who put community above all else, because I know the importance of community, of coming together, of being together, supporting each other and all that. I think, like, for me, community is very important, but I also love seeing people thriving, and inspiring each other, giving each other some you know advice and all that jazz. I feel that the moment you kind of like reason yourself is the moment you can make also like reasonable decision and kind of more kind of ethical and mindful decisions as well. So it's just that, like, shaming people into oblivion and kind of telling them, oh, trends are bad or you should not, is not gonna help. I feel like that it's time to have like more constructive discussion and more kind of, pushing people to be more critical in their consumption and kind of starting, like, what's going to work is people being mindful and coming to their own terms with how they want to consume things, and how they want to approach trends and all that jazz, and like having some critical thinking. That's how things work. I feel like that the whole thing is also about like admitting that you don't always need to like possess thing. You can borrow thing. Things does not need to be like a possession, but you can borrow it. And then, if you borrow something that friends already have, it's, you're already like harming the planet less. Even though, like I said, the individual is not the one that is actually harming more. But if you're paying attention to that, like borrowing and all that jazz is already like less, harmful. And there's a reason why we say that the most sustainable way to get clothes is by using the clothes you already have in your wardrobe. So yeah, just be a bit more mindful in how you decide to consume clothes, and how you decide to consume, like how you decide to consume trends, and be more like critical about that. Try to find like other alternative, try to look in the clothes that you already have, and try to also, again, ask yourself, do you really want it, or were you influenced to want it? Well, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you did, give it a like, share it around, and tell me in the comments, what do you think about trends? Like, how is your relationship with trends, and if there's some points that you do agree with my, thoughts and process, and like my, just my opinions, or if there's something that you disagree with and all that jazz. Please do. I always enjoy reading your comments, and again, like I said, subscribe. Like, we this small community, we're growing, so I'd love to have you around, and in the meantime, I'll see you in my next video. Love always.